Alrighty everybody, in today's video, I'm going to be telling you guys why not to do stupid stuff while you're in high school because it can royally screw up background checks and you joining the Air Force. So I joined the Air Force back in September of 2019. You may have seen my videos before, and so you may already know that, or you may not. This may be your first time, so welcome. So I enlisted back into the delayed entry program into the Air Force back in September of 2019. Now, after you swear in, they run a bunch of background checks. They're still running background checks on you, even though you have already sworn in. Or you submit for a federal background check while you're at MEPS, but I had investigators come to me, probably for the job that I was listed under, but I still had investigators coming to me and coming to my family and questioning and all that stuff for their background checks. And there were contractors that came and called me and called my family and left cards on my door for me to call them back so that they could do these interviews or these investigations. Yeah, it was an interview. I had a 3-hour interview at my local library with one of these investigators. But anyway, so they're still running background checks. So let's see. So I swore in to the delayed entry program on September 5th, 2019. It was about 6 months later that COVID hit. Sucks. Whole world turned upside down and we're stuck in the reality that we are in today. So once COVID hit, basic military training, or BMT, in the tech schools had to reevaluate how many trainees they could take in at a given point. So for my squadron here in Virginia, actually I go through the Hagerstown, Maryland recruiting squadron, because that's where my recruiter is from. All of my squadrons, or the majority of my squadrons, applicants and recruits, we lost our ship dates, we lost our jobs, we lost everything because they were trying to reevaluate what they were going to do. So it was fast forward to about June, okay? It was the week of that we were supposed to get our jobs and ship dates back. And I still have the text message on my phone where my recruiter said, hey, we're going to be giving back jobs this Friday. Those of you who were in the softbook program, which is you sworn while you were in high school, which I did, or those of you who have been in depth the longest, also me, will be getting your jobs back first. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. This is cool. And then Friday rolls around and he doesn't message me. He doesn't contact me. And I'm like, what's going on here? So I reach out to him and say, hey, what's going on? I'm supposed to have my job. I've been in depth the longest. I've been in a softbook. What's going on? And he said, oh, a background check came up from 6 months ago that is hindering us from giving you a job and a ship date. And I'm like, a background check from 6 months ago. So back in January, remember, I swore in September of 2019. So they were still running background checks on me in January. And he said, yeah, so you have to talk to my boss so we can get all this stuff settled out. And I'm like, great. So I got on a FaceTime call with his boss, he was really, really helpful and very, very supportive of the whole thing. And basically he said that the background check was showing incident reports from my freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year of high school. No, I think it was just my freshman, sophomore, and senior year of high school. Junior year, I tried to lay low, but it was my freshman, sophomore, and senior year of high school that I had incident reports for. And he said, during an investigation, these are what came up. And it was 3 events that were throwing red flags. And he said, I've never gone through something like this before, but do you want to fight this? And he said, if you fight this, it could be a while before you actually get to leave. And I'm like, this has been a dream of mine since I was like 15 years old. I want to leave, if not before 15. I've always wanted to join the military. So I'm like, yeah, I want to fight this. And so for at least the past 6 months, it was January 25th, I think, is when I actually finalized and got an actual ship date from last June. So that's at least 6 months, almost 7. And it was daily, if not every other day, I was messaging my recruiter saying, hey, is there any updates? Are there any updates? Are there any updates? Long story short, I had to file for a medical waiver to claim my sanity. I had to get witness reports from people. I had to get character statements from people. I had to take a psych eval or a psychological evaluation from my family psychiatrist so that they could see, hey, this kid is not crazy, or this guy is not crazy. And long story short, I had to get a medical waiver to be able to join, which automatically eliminates like half of your jobs. And the jobs that I had listed on my top like 8 list were not in play at all. But I did get a job that I was really, I'm you know, it's not my dream job, but it seems like a pretty cool job. It is aircraft armament systems. So I was pretty happy with that pick out of the rest of the picks that I got. And if you've seen any other videos where they've gone through something like that with a medical waiver or whatever it is, sucks because it's cutting your jobs in half. But this is what I had to go through in order to finally get a ship date 6 months later. And it got to the point where, I'm gonna use an analogy here. Like if, you know, you're reaching towards a goal of unlocking something and someone says, here's the key, here's the magic key, here's the magic key, you need to work to get this key. But eventually the bling of that key runs out or it wears off. And it's like, okay, I know the key is there, but like I've been fighting for this thing for so long and it's starting to just wear and wear and wear. And that's where I was getting to a certain degree. And so once my recruiter said, okay, everything is finally done, everything is finally signed, you got the CMO's approval, you got all this stuff, here's your ship date. It's like, okay, now this is probably not going to hit me as hard as it should until I'm actually down in basic training or back at MEPS, because I've been fighting for this for so long. And it's kind of like that key is out there, but it's like a really dull key now. And that's unfortunate because it is a very exciting process and I'm very, very excited for it, but it's probably not going to hit me until I'm actually down there. And thankfully on Facebook, I'm in the Air Force Shippers community group. If you're shipping and you're not in this group, I highly recommend you to. A lot of cool and important information that is shared out on there. And one thing is that for my specific ship date, which is April 27th, there is a Discord server that a couple of guys gave to me, which is really, really cool. And I get to interact with a lot of other guys from all across the country, guys and girls from all across the country that are shipping on my same day. And I'm getting to build those relationships, you know, before I leave, which is really, really cool. So the bling of basic training is starting to come back a little bit. But like I said, it's probably not gonna hit me until I actually get down there. But that is why I plead to you guys, do not do stupid stuff. If you're watching this and you're still in high school, do not do stupid stuff while you're in high school because it can royally impact your future and your future jobs. We hear teachers say that all the time, and I mean, I remember being prepped for that my freshman, sophomore, and junior year by faculty in our yearly meeting, and they said, don't do stupid stuff because it could impact your jobs in the future. And I didn't listen. And here I am now having to fight, or I had to fight to get into the Air Force with a medical waiver questioning my sanity because I didn't listen to the parents and teachers that tried to help me before I got in. Now, the cool thing is that when you leave for MEPS, if you don't disclose this stuff to your recruiter because you don't think it's that important, like if it's a detention here or there, they're not really gonna care. But if it's a suspension, you should probably tell them beforehand. But if you don't fret, because a lot of recruiters, and especially my recruiter's boss, told me before I left to MEPS, they said, no new information. Do not tell them any new information. And I didn't say this in my MEPS story, but I'm saying this now. They said, no new information. Whatever you do, they'll say they have your medical records. They'll say they have background checks already done on you. But if they already had your medical records and they already did background checks on you, why would they be doing that at MEPS? So they said no new information, don't give them anything that they can use against you. And so I had already sworn into the delayed entry program by the time that these background checks came to light. And so it was easier for my recruiter and his boss to fight for me because I was already in and I'd already been in debt for 8 months at that point before this stuff came to life, 7 months or so before this stuff came to life. And so it was it was easier for them to fight for me versus if I hadn't even sworn into the delayed entry program yet. So if you have not told your recruiter about this stuff, I'm not saying don't tell your recruiter about this stuff. If you have, awesome. I recommend you to before you go in so that they know what they're fighting for and they know what they're fighting with. But if you don't, by accident or by mistake or you forgot or whatever, immediately tell them after you swear in. Like, because it's going to come up. They need to know it. They need to know it. Do not lie to your recruiter. Be insanely honest with them because it will do nothing but benefit you and benefit them in the long run. Even if you don't think it will, it really will because they know what they're working with at that point. So anyway, yeah. So I plead to you guys, please don't do stupid stuff or in high school or before you enlist, because it could really screw up your chances like it really screwed up my chances. I didn't even, like I said before, I didn't get any jobs that were off of my top 8 list. I had to choose something else that wasn't even on my list. It's a really cool job, don't get me wrong, and I'm really excited about it, but this is not where I envisioned I would be today. Still here. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got a lot of new information out of it, and I hope you all have a good rest of your day, and I'll catch you later.